I'm a Black with Dynasty Podcasts, and I am joined remotely by Steven Galanis from Cameo. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it. You and I spoke last year. I got to come in and visit the Cameo offices in Chicago. And that wasn't that long ago, but it was also kind of a whole other time. What is Cameo like right now versus 3 months ago, 6 months ago? Bring us into the culture and how it feels at this moment in time.
Well, number one, there is no office, so that's the first different thing. We have 120 different offices around the world now, as all of our employees are forced to work from home. And being in the Cameo office, how big a part of our culture that was. When you walk into Cameo, it feels like a magical place. So we've been working really hard ever since we closed our offices in early March to make sure that the culture is still staying strong and our employees still feel that magic coming into work every day, even if work is in their bedroom or, in their kitchen or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. We are obviously in this age where everyone's working remotely, but you guys were kind of ahead of the pack where Cameo was really built on the whole concept of being remote, right?
Yeah, our core idea with Cameo was that the selfie is the new autograph. And specifically, we were trying to understand, how do you take a selfie with somebody in a world where you don't meet them in real life? So, in many ways, while we did not plan for a pandemic or coronavirus or social distancing, in many ways, our platform was tailor made for this new weird age.
Yeah. So bring us into, I guess, how are people, engaging with the platform? How are bookings doing? Because obviously a lot of businesses have been impacted by the virus, but, from everything I'm seeing, it seems like Cameo is a platform that people are still connecting with. So how are you seeing that from your side?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, our business is one that helps people make smile. It helps people bring smiles to the people they love the most, right? So, in a world of social distancing, where you can't see your mom for Mother's Day, or you can't be with dad for Father's Day, or your friend's college graduation party is getting canceled, Cameo is a way to transfer love remotely. So in a world where you can't go to a bar for someone's birthday or you can't show up at their wedding, Cameo's been really seeing some surges in demand on the fan side. On the talent side, just like you and I, every single talent is sitting at home. There are no
Right.
games. Every concert isn't happening. Comic Cons are being canceled, and nobody says this, but every talent in the world at the end of the day is really a gig economy worker in their own way. So, you know, a lot of talent that had previously told us that they were too busy for Cameo or that they were making too much money to be on it suddenly finds themselves in a world where their endorsement deals have dried up or their concerts aren't happening or they're missing game checks. And they suddenly are sitting at home just like you and I. They miss their fans. They want to engage. And Cameo's been a godsend as a revenue stream for a lot of them.
Yeah, and so I want to, get to the messaging for just a moment about people who can't be with loved ones, who can't go to a graduation, things like that. What kind of messages are they sending, and are you seeing certain entertainers who people are turning to that they really want to kind of be a proxy for their message in place of, real world interaction?
Yeah, totally. A good example of this was Mandy Moore and Busy Phillips. When they joined Cameo, they were specifically doing messages for charity of people booking them to tell their parents to stay home, right? Which was really interesting. We'd never had those type of bookings. We're seeing a lot of yesterday, Dean Cain, who was Superman, I saw him do a big one for the nurses at some hospital. So we're seeing a lot of inspiring messages, especially for frontline workers. And yesterday, I even saw a review came through that there was a cameo made for a talent. And in the review, they're like, we were able to show this video to, our loved one before they passed away from COVID and, when they were alone in the hospital. And, thank you for putting this huge smile on their face, right? Like, that makes the work that we're doing, feel extremely real. And I think it makes all of our employees understand how critical our mission is in times like these.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, that's obviously very heavy and very meaningful. I know none of us could have planned for this moment. None of us had the pandemic in mind even 5 months, 6 months ago. How has that changed your own view of the company and its mission now that this is being used to, like you're talking about, reach out to loved ones who might be in a trying time, and even frontline workers and nurses and medical staff? Like how are you, viewing this concept now versus a year ago?
Yeah, our mission, I think, is more important than it's ever been. People need joy. There's so many unemployed people out there. I think the latest number are showing that unemployment today is higher than it was in the Great Depression. So this is a time where people, they have a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of depression. It feels like a lot of hopelessness. So anything we can do to put smile on people's faces right now, that gets us out of bed for sure.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, that a lot of talent is sitting at home, just like everybody else, and that, even some names that previously didn't have the time or the bandwidth to take this on are now doing that. I saw an article written about Cameo, a really great article in the Hollywood Reporter. You mentioned, for example, like Gilbert Gottfried. This is his primary source of income right now. So, what are you hearing from talent who all of a sudden are, able to make some money or maybe even a living from Cameo as their primary source of income now?
Well, it's a good time to be on the platform for sure. We've actually seen our bookings increase by 1,000% since the shelter-in-place orders came, and prior to that, we were already the fastest growing consumer marketplace in the country. So, if you're one of the talent on Cameo, you have the opportunity to be making very, very serious money with us right now, and I believe that will persist. I saw Toby from Shopify, the CEO, said something really interesting yesterday. He said in the last 8 weeks, the world's been transported to 2030. And what he meant by that was the percentage of revenue that was coming from e-commerce of all consumption was 15% pre-COVID, and the projections were that it was going to be 30% by the time 2030 came around. That
Wow.
transformation happened in the last 8 weeks. So just like Zoom's business was turbocharged, where they went from 10 million monthly actives to 300 million daily actives in about 8 weeks, our business has been turbocharged as well. So for our talent, there's never been a better time to be on Cameo. For the fans, there's never been a better time to give or receive one. So, all sides of our marketplace are doing well. And one thing in particular that's exciting to see, obviously the talent control the pricing in the marketplace, but we've actually seen the average price per Cameo decrease by 27% since COVID started. So at scale, what's happening are the talent are more willing than ever to do them, and they're willing to, they know their fans are hurting, they know they've lost their job or furloughed or have had their hours cut back. So they've actually cut their price to make themselves more accessible. And, again, it's been pretty cool to see.
Well, and that was going to be one of the things that I was very curious about asking about is that, so many people are out of work right now. And yeah, we all saw the same numbers on Twitter this morning, which is obviously really startling and alarming. And why do you think people are still, when money is scarce, when resources are scarce, et cetera, right? Why are people still buying cameos right now when they are really probably cutting back on a lot of other expenses?
So number one, in previous recessions, spending on entertainment and alcohol tends to be two of the things that are actually counter-cyclical. So you'll see in most recessions, people are going to more baseball games or going to the movies, or they're going to the bar more. And in a world where you can't do any of that stuff, you can't go to the movies, the games, or if they play them this year, will not have fans. Bars are closed. I think people, despite like when they're home, in some ways, even people that are unemployed may have more purchasing power right now than they've ever had, because there's just way less things that they can spend money on. I think even our employees that are working from home, they're saving a ton of money commuting every day. So, the changes that have been made, people not eating out, but like cooking, I think net, there's actually more disposable income for a lot of folks out there. And on top of that too, like, people need to celebrate life's great moments. They need to celebrate birthdays. They need to celebrate graduations. So even if they're getting a Cameo, it's like a $30 to $40 luxury, but it may be as impactful as any money you can spend.
Yeah, and that's great, and I think that totally makes sense. I also read on one of the articles last night when I was obviously doing the research, right, that there's more than 30,000 celebrities on the site now. I'm sure there's more joining all the time. You mentioned like an increase like by 1,000%. So, you know, internally for you, for the employees, for the team, how are you guys reapproaching this work? How does this work change for you guys when the volume increases like this?
Yeah, I mean, number one, we've been approaching this like this is the gold rush of the century for us, right? This is 1849 California. This is an opportunity to turbocharge our business by 2 to 3 years and 2 to 3 months, if that makes sense. So for us, we've been, working harder than ever to get all the great talent on Cameo that our fans have been clamoring for. We think our value prop today is as strong as it's ever been. And for as long as, the lockdown continues, I think it's our job right now to look at, we've got this huge tailwind coming in our business right now. And what are we doing over the next 6 to 12 months to make sure that, we're making this permanent and people aren't just coming on for now, but they're having such a great experience that, this is becoming a new habit for them. And that's everything that my team's really focused on right now.
Something new that I know you guys are offering is Cameo Direct. Talk about what that is. How does that differ from the previous model of Cameo?
Yeah, Cameo Direct came out of a desire that we found for a lot of talent to connect directly with their fans. Right, the core Cameo product, over 80% of them are bought as gifts. So I'm buying for you, and then ultimately, I might record your reaction and send it back. But that connection between the fan and you personally, like, very oftentimes doesn't happen. So the talent want to have deeper relationships. Our customers, want to go deeper. They want micro coaching. They want advice. They want Q&A. They want all this type of stuff. So Cameo Direct, which is our, essentially paid DM product. So you can now text with your favorite talent, and it's actually them. There's some of these other ones that are out there where you text and you never hear back. Like Cameo Direct it's on their phone, it's them, and it's a really authentic, cool experience.
Wow. Let's talk about Cameo Cares. That was another big project that just happened a couple of weeks ago in April. That was a 3-day virtual conference, and this was something that's, like you were just talking about, it goes beyond just the original Cameo concept of like a 2-minute message. So this was something much more long form. Talk about what that was and how it went. Like what were some of the takeaways from that?
With Cameo Cares, in many ways, I think we saw the future of Cameo. We have never gotten into the content creation business before. We have a podcast with maybe 4 episodes. I think we were joking about it last time you came to see us at HQ. It was something we were trying to ramp up. And in 5 days, we were able to get 180 of our top talent to come and create amazing content together. And 2 things that we learned was, 1, we could create and curate some really interesting content. But number 2, we learned that our talent really want to collaborate more with each other. And as we start looking, towards the end of this year and next, I think there's a world where all the major production companies, the studios, the big, Hollywood productions, they're all paused, right? So if a new format, like, what we saw at Cameo Cares, could emerge, there might be an opportunity for us to become a player, in the content business in the next 6 to 12 months here, and we're going to try to do it.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you saw the recent Parks and Recreation special that happened maybe a week ago. where, and Parks and Recreation wrapped up a couple years ago, but the cast all came together. The internal story is that the characters were like, hey, we're social distancing, we want to check on each other over Skype or Zoom or whatever. But, Parks and Recreation did a social distance episode where all of the actors were just at home, and that serviced the story. It worked within the story frame. And, I feel like now, yeah, Cameo has it's a talent roster now. It's like you guys are a talent agency, and you could totally put something together where there could be webisodes, there could be, YouTube series or what have you that are done over a platform like Zoom, right?
Right. Well, we did. I mean, we did this with the Entourage reunion, but we do a lot of these for Cameo Cares, and I'm thinking about the Jordan Last Dance documentary. Right. We have Bill Wennington and Stacey King and Dennis Rodman on the platform. We have Gary Payton. We have like a lot of the the main players, that Isaiah Thomas, that are featured. Like, why are those characters? Why are those athletes not coming on the second that's over for live reaction? And why aren't we doing that for everything? I mean, we could do that for The Bachelor. We could do that for any show that's on. That Tiger King episode 8 that came out, we had all the talent on there. We could have done that episode ourselves. So I really think that, post-COVID, we're going to be thinking, how do we take this moment in time and really try to, again, turbocharge our business 2 to 3 years. And it really feels like content's a natural extension for us.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, like you guys could just the equivalent of like the Talking Dead after every episode of The Walking Dead, right? Like that could happen with so many different, media properties with Cameo.
Right.
Do
We
you?
could do that for everything.
Yeah. Do you see other like kind of large form, let's call it conference or convention type events happening like Cameo Cares in the future?
For sure. I mean, I think as long as social distancing is a thing, you're going to have to, the people that put on Comic-Con or the people that put on any of these, South by Southwest, they're not going to just stop, right? They're going to move to it. And there's some interesting players now in the space of virtual conferencing. So there's some cool startups emerging there that, I know I've met, and I'm sure other people in the space are watching very closely. But it certainly feels like there could be a moment for that. And on top of that, like I took 150 flights last year, and for me, the fact that you can have something like Cameo Cares. If we had tried to do that 6 months ago, we would have tried to get all these people to fly to Chicago, and it would have been such a pain in the ass.
You're
But
paying for hotels and the whole thing, yeah.
totally. But now it's like, hey, let's get on a Zoom and do it. And I think the willingness is there, and it's easier than ever to create content like what we did.
Even just doing this right here, what we're doing, it's like this is amazing. And with after some initial setup, it's like it's almost effortless, so it seems like a no-brainer. Absolutely. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but one final question that I want to go out on, when at this moment, again, we're seeing a lot of businesses shuttering, a lot of businesses that have not moved their primary model online, or even if they have a website, they don't have this real engagement model that Cameo has really mastered. So what advice would you give to any talent, any brands, anybody who hasn't transitioned into fully embracing this online remote model yet that you guys have really mastered?
Look, I mean, I think it's very, very clear where the puck is going here. So if you haven't embraced online, you know, do it, do it yesterday. Even if social distancing, let's say there's a vaccine in 3 months, which nobody thinks there will be, but let's just say there is, the world has changed, and people, I mean, I think it's something like Instacart, right? I had never tried it before, and like, I'm never going to the grocery store again. So if if you own, Jewel Osco, it's like, you should be thinking about how do you change your stores with the layout in a world where people start doing more delivery versus coming in. So at the end of the day, I think that that a period like this just accelerates the trends that have been happening already. So if you haven't embraced digital, I would be going all in right now. And it's not just to save your business today, but people are realizing that they can get more done this way. So it just makes sense to make a better experience for your customers.
Absolutely. This was great. I mean, I've been seeing everything that Cameo is doing because, you guys were, especially like even a month ago when Cameo Cares was going on, it just felt like everything shut down. And then when I would go on my feed, I would see, wow, Cameo is still like lights on, full speed ahead. So I really wanted to just do a kind of quick check-in and just get your perspective on all these things happening in this very weird time. Steven Galanis from Cameo, thank you so much for taking the time today. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me. And the Cameo factory is cranking for Mother's Day. So if you haven't got mom anything yet, you know where to go, cameo.com.
Love it, man. All right, take care. We'll talk soon.